this week on the Bubble Chat.
The money bracket that you're in, how much income you make would probably be about how you allot the child's welfare because the child has to match your lifestyle.
I don't care if it's film, music, theater, or even construction. If it's not your project and you signed a contract, keep it off your feed.
Because if you don't know who this person is, such like in there's some communication, but this is electronic, something called intuition. There's a gut feeling. Some call it the light bulb moment, right? There's going to be a time in your life, good or bad, related or not, in love or not.
I really hope that if this federal crackdown serves a massive wake-up call for our listeners, never under any circumstance post explicit content of someone without their explicit consent. Because this isn't a game, and it never will be. Because the person affected by this can be haunted for a lifetime, and the next thing you know, you're going to have a police officer or a federal lawyer knocking on your door.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Bubble Chat, the podcast where we pop the surface on the stories, trends, and the voices shaping our world today. I'm one of your hosts, Adonis Concierge, and if you can't tell by the energy in the studio today, we're officially kicking off Pride MONTH.
Now, if you're new here, the Bubble Chat is all about lifting people up, floating new ideas, and creating a safe space for everyone. In this month, we are turning the volume all the way up. Pride isn't just about the parades, the glitters, and the incredible music, though we love all of that. It's about honoring history, celebrating identity, and standing fiercely in solidarity with the LGBTQ plus community.
Over the next few weeks, our little bubble is expanding. We've got an incredible lineup of guests we're honoring, from activists and artists to local changemakers who are out there making the world a brighter, more inclusive place. We'll be sharing laughs, diving into some deep, inspiring stories, and as always, keeping it beautifully real.
So whether you are a member of the community living out loud and allies showing up with a loved one or someone just stopping by to learn a lesson, you are welcome here. Grab your piping hot cup of tea.
I got mine.
And let's get the celebration started. You are listening to the Pride Special Edition of the Bubble Chat that's popping to these hot topics. Unlike the queen of chat, Wendy Williams said,
How you doing?
Right.
All right, y'all. We have got to talk about this Floyd Mayweather situation because the numbers hitting the headlines right now are absolutely wild. So word just came out via TMZ that Floyd has been legally declared the father of a 4-year-old girl named Price Morgan.
Pray for it. Price. That's her name. Price.
Yeah, Price.
Price. Yes.
The mother is a dancer from his strip club out in Las Vegas.
Oh.
And after a legal battle, a judge officially signed off on the paternity back in March. But it's the financial breakdown that has everyone's jaws on the floor. The judge didn't just set a monthly rate. They ordered Floyd to pay a massive $933,050 in back child support right out of the gate. On top of that, his ongoing monthly payments are set at $32,850 a month now. Look, we know Floyd's nickname is money for a reason, and $1 million to him isn't what it is to us. But nearly $33,000 a month for one child is insane, even by celebrity standards. It really makes you look at lifestyle scaling when the courts get involved with high net worth athletes. When child support reaches $33,000 a month, does that money truly represent the cost of raising a child, or is the legal system essentially forcing a wealth redistribution tax-based solidity on the parents' net worth? Where do we draw the line between maintaining a child's lifestyle and expensive payouts?
Well, excuse me. Speaking as the only parent on the panel, I would say that depending on the money bracket that you're in, how much income you make would probably be about how you allot the child's welfare because the child has to match your lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? So if you have a mansion, like not to say you have a mansion, what you have a mansion, that means the baby has a room, probably a playroom, a nanny, like all the things that you would a lot of you guys put together would be the things that they would give. Now it's 900,000 because it's back pay to baby Thor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what it was. So $33,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well they kind of consolidated that because if they gave her 400,000, that's really just 100,000 per year. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's almost a million after
That's
he
still a
made the
lot.
first two after the first 2 months of payments.
That's
That's
still a
$1
lot.
million. So every like what 33, 30, 30, every nine, like so every 3 years, every three in some change of a year, since she's getting $1 million in support
That's
for
a
the
lot.
child. But that's education, support, traveling expenses, all this kind of stuff. But I'm sure it's just all mandated on his income. He could pay for it. And she live in Vegas, and it's dirt cheap to live there. Shit. I mean, but I don't want to switch codes names on stories, but Floyd Mayweather, baby mama, ain't the one that's trending in these news, baby. They talk about Daphne. They talking about P. Diddy, and they talking about that sex that got sneaked out there in these streets. Now, that baby name was Price, right? He paid it. How you feel, Juan?
Off the back of that Floyd Mayweather situation, I started down a massive rabbit hole looking into these child support cases. And when you dive into the legal world of the rich and famous, things get incredibly messy, like incredibly fast. Because I feel like we see this massive headlines all the time. You know, Kanye West paying $200,000 a month to Kim Kardashian, or A-Rod being ordered to shell out $115,000 a month. And naturally, the first thing everyone asks is, how on earth does it cost that much to raise a kid? But here's where the mess really starts, and it comes down to how the legal system actually calculates these numbers. In a lot of states, child support isn't just a flat rate based on the price of diapers, food, and a good school. It's calculated using a formula tied directly to the parent's current wealth and income, based on the idea that the child has a right to share in the parent's standard of living.
Exactly.
So if dad lives in a multi-million dollar mansion and
Get a
was
million.
private, the court expects the child's lifestyle to match that regardless of who has custody. And the real drama kicks up really quick. Sorry, Adonis. Is in the real drama kicks in when that celebrity lifestyle changes. I mean, take a look at athletes or entertainers whose peak earnings years are short. An NBA player or an A-list actor might sign a massive contract, get slapped with a six-figure monthly support order based on that income, and then a few years later they retire or the world stops coming. But guess what? Getting the courts to lower these payments is a nightmare. The baby mamas, the baby daddies usually fighting tooth and nail because they don't want to give up that tax-free monthly windfall. It turns into these public bitter tug of war where the kid it gets caught in the middle of a media circus. So it makes you realize that in the celebrity world, a child support order often stops being just about taking care of a kid and turns into a weaponized financial contract. All right, go ahead, John.
It's about matching the lifestyle. So the kid can't go to daddy's house and it's a huge mansion with acres and a maid and a butler and then go home to a two-bedroom apartment. No, 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 no. The baby needs to feel like, oh, my house, daddy's house. And it should not be any different to say, oh, me and mommy live in a little one-bed, two-bedroom apartment and daddy has this big house. That's what it's all about, to match the same lifestyle, exactly what you just broke down and said. And I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it. And I ain't mad. The money go down. It's just like you got Section 8, and you ain't gonna pay that much in rent then. How about that? All right, but moving forward. So remember back in July of 2025 when everyone was panicking about a bunch of hard drives containing unreleased Beyonce music was stolen? Well, we finally have the update on the guy behind it. A 40-year-old man named Kevin Evans has just pleaded guilty in Atlanta to avoid a jury trial. The details the prosecutors dropped in court are insane. They have surveillance video of this man driving into Atlanta's parking garage, parking right next to the target vehicle, looking inside, pulling out these black suitcases containing drives, then casually carries them into a building connected to his sister. And the suitcases were literally never seen again. But here is the absolute best and the most chaotic part of the whole thing. Prosecutors said that during his interview, Evans literally referred to himself as the king thief of Atlanta, like the sheer confidence to give yourself a supervillain title while being interrogated for stealing from Beyonce of all people is unmatched and also unhinged. He ended up getting sentenced to 5 years, 2 in prison, 3 on probation. But the music is still out there somewhere. And you know the Beehive is probably doing a full FBI style investigation to find out where those missing files and cases may be. If you accidentally came across a hard drive with unreleased music from an artist as massive as Beyonce, what is your immediate move? Do you turn it into the label for a reward, leak it anonymously for the culture, or bury it because you're too terrified of Parkwood's legal team? Baby, I would turn it in for the award. I sure would.
I'll make a copy for myself.
I would call a bitch, had that shit playing in the background, and say, "You heard it? You heard it, right? Okay. Send me my check. Run me my check." What would you do if you had Taylor Swift's unreleased next album? If you heard her wedding song that she's recording right now for her wedding to that man, what would you do now?
I would keep it a secret until it's released, until Taylor
It
Swift
can't get
released it
released.
on her own times.
You gotta
Because
be
when it
honest.
comes to upcoming projects, I firmly believe there is absolutely no reason anyone who isn't the actual creator should be posting behind the scenes work on social media before it's officially
You
released. I
got it.
don't care if it's film, music, theater, or even construction.
But
It's
what
not if it's not your project and you signed a contract, keep it off your feed. Because here's the thing. True artists understand the power of the rollout. They don't reveal their process while they're still in the trenches. If they share anything at all, it's carefully curated teaser content to drop hints or a simple "I have an announcement to make tomorrow" to build genuine hype. They control the narrative, and I think back to when I was doing a day in life vlog from time to time when I was in college working as an assistant scenic designer on a show. I wanted to film some of the process, but I knew the boundaries. I explicitly asked the stage manager, "Hey, what parts of this do you not want me to reveal?" And they told me straight up, "Don't show the stage because the set was already built. Because that's a big reveal. That's the magic the audience pays to see." And it just feels like today, in the era of TikTok and oversharing, people value their own clout and 15 seconds of engagement over respecting the craft and the NDAC sign. If the creator wants it hidden, you keep it hidden. Period.
Nephew, I'm going to reiterate the question. What if you had the digitally mastered mixed copy of Taylor Swift's next album? Would you turn it in? Don't say you're not gonna let it loose until they release it. You have what they need to release. Would you share it with the world? You gonna keep it or you gonna bury it?
It depends on the situation, to be honest.
You being complicated. What's next on the docket?
All right. Well, we are moving. Hold on. All right, well, we are moving on with a story that is genuinely terrifying and straight up unbelievable. Former Why Don't We Boy band member Jack Avery has finally broken his silence after a massive multi-year FBI investigation came to light. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office just announced the arrest of his ex-girlfriend, TikTok influencer Gabby Gonzalez, her father, Francisco Gonzalez, and her former boyfriend, Kai Cordery. Get this, the trio is being accused of trying to use a dark web to hire a hitman to kill Jack. All of this apparently stems from a bitter, ongoing custody dispute over Jack and Gabby's daughter, Lavender. According to the DA, the plan started back in 2021. They allegedly used crypto- cryptocurrency and an alias on the dark web to secure an assassin only the person they were talking to out to be an undercover FBI agent posing as a hitman. Prosecutors say Gabby's father, who is actually at a civil trial attorney in Florida, allegedly financed the whole thing, wire transferred thousands of dollars to fund the hit. Witnesses even claimed the family was so obsessed with getting full custody that the dad openly said it would just be cheaper if Avery were dead. Jack released an incredibly heavy statement talking about the years of silent and torment, public scrutiny, and painful attacks his family endured while keeping it quiet to protect the legal process and his daughter. When a high-profile family custody battle escalates to the dark web and federal for hire charges, it exposes a massive level of real world obsession. What do you guys think of this?
If we ain't learned nothing from waiting, the bodyguard starring Whitney motherfucking Houston, aka Rachel Marin, her stupid ass, bitch ass, insecure ass sister hired a hitman she ain't never seen, saw, or heard of. And he blasted her ass, trying to goddamn take out the mission. All she said was do it. He said okay, and he didn't stop until he did. And she got bulldozed in the motherfucking process. So this is the thing. Now she made a phone call and somebody called somebody. And then that somebody called her and she said, yes, money got sent, job got it was on assignment. The police out here being catfish killers.
Yeah, catfish killer.
Yes, because it was posting like an assassin, but they was the police. You see what I'm saying? Oh, catfish. So you can't even trust the dark web.
They need money too, shit.
Who no, who need money?
Wasn't they getting paid to assassinate?
Well, if it was a real assassin that would have killed them, yes, but it was an FBI person posing as assassin, and then so then you got all set up, it's like the setup with a drug deal with an undercover cop, right? So I'm just saying, like, oh, catfish ass goddamn killer. I'm confusion because if you don't know who this person is, such like in there's some communication, but this is electronic. We're on the dark web talking back and forth. I done found you. You done found me. What you want? I'm gonna kill somebody. I kill a bitch for you. I mean, it's like catfish. Like, what are you looking for? I'm brunette, nice bosom, 5'5", 120 pounds, and you're like 6'8", a guy from like Uganda. Like, what the fuck are we doing? You know what I mean? So it's just like, oh. Catfishing killers, be aware. It's like Forrest Gump. You never know what you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolates.
Right. I've honestly dig deep into these life lesson videos where someone tries to hire a hitman, usually for insurance money, a will, or in this case, custody. And without fail, the person planning the hit is completely clueless that the assassin they're talking to is actually an undercover cop. It really happens every single time, whether the undercover cop is secretly connected to a friend or the victim's sibling somehow found out and flags law enforcement, or the victim themselves caught wind of the plan and set up a sting. Because these criminals always think that there are criminal masterminds, but they are totally out of their depth, trying to navigate the dark web to hit a target when the FBI is watching is just pure delusion. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just incredibly glad that Jack is okay and his entire focus is exactly where it needs to be on his daughter. Because as we all remember that old saying, right? You made your bed, now you have to lay in it. Gabrielle and her family made their choices, and now they have to face the absolute heaviest consequence for their actions. Because let's be fucking real, trying to permanently take away a father away from his child over a custody dispute isn't just messy; it's just pure, straight up evil.
Ticks, fleas, and termites. Lay your ass down. Well, next on the agenda, Housewives alumni Garcelle Boubouet recently spoke at the Black affinity group Legacies chat series, and she did not hold back about what it really means to protect your peace. She looked back on some of her hardest transitions, including her incredibly public divorce from her ex-husband, Mike Nyland, years ago, and even friend breakups. Her whole message was about the necessity of choosing yourself and walking away from situations that just don't serve you anymore. But the part that has reality fans buzzing is what she said about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills experience. She openly admitted that Bravo brought her massive platforms and incredible opportunities. She eventually realized it was time to just move on from the show. In a culture that tells us to consistently hustle and hold on to high paying or high stakes opportunities at all costs, how do you know when a situation, whether it's a job, a relationship, or a friendship, has crossed the line from challenging or training, or excuse me, has crossed the line from challenging to draining your peace? What is your personal threshold for walking away? I'm gonna say, well, being the oldest person who has walked the path of the road the longest between us on the panel, there is something called intuition. There's a gut feeling. Some call it the light bulb moment, right? There's going to be a time in your life, good or bad, related or not, in love or not, that let me not or do. You know what I'm saying? It's like let me do this, let me walk away. Like after I'm done with this, I'm not gonna do this no more. This will be my last time. The universe will tell you, the universe will speak to you. It's up to you to actually listen to it. I have I don't want to say aborted, and I'm not gonna say abandoned, but I will say tabled. I have set aside, I have had to handle someone where there was like a great gap of space and time in between me making that decision and when the next step was made. And sometimes that's what needs to happen. Sometimes you need to break away to not, or you need to break away to do some things. It's just as simple as that. Which just take one. Either you are or you aren't. That's the defining moment, and it just happens. Like nephew, I'm sure that when you were in college and it
Hmm.
was split with your funding, and it's like either I am or I am not going to finish my the college career. Am I correct?
Right.
You made the decision to keep going. Now, it wasn't as bad as like you walking away from your first love or your career of 10 years and you climb the ladder and then what's next, right? It's a little bit different, but it's still the same thing. When you have been, like they say, if you are backed up against the wall, you have to come out of the corner. So
Hmm.
it's the same thing. Either you are gonna get your ass whooped or you are not. You're going to get pushed back into this corner or you're gonna fight back and you're not. It's super simple. It's super simple. So
Yeah.
I can
Um,
they can give it up to anybody who can make that decision.
Right. Having Garcelle talk about protecting her peace really hits home because I've come across so many stories of people, having to make that exact same brutal choice, choosing yourself over a toxic situation, even if it means cutting people completely out of your life, is one of the hardest things you will ever have to do. And the reason it's so incredibly difficult, whether you're serving a lifelong friendship or ending a marriage, is or if you're severing, excuse me, a lifelong friendship or ending a marriage, is that you just didn't just walk away at the first sign of trouble. You gave that person the benefit of the doubt for so long, and you kept making excuses for them, hoping things would change until you finally hit the breaking point where you just couldn't ignore reality anymore. So what makes this hurt the most is the betrayal of trust, because they are often the people who, on the surface, act like your biggest cheerleader. They pretend to be your absolute supporter, showing up for you whenever they can, while secretly doing things behind your back that completely stab you in the spine. Because growing up, I remember hearing a phrase that stuck with me, and the older I get, the truer it becomes. Sometimes it's the ones closest that hurt you the most. It's an ugly truth, but at a certain point, you have to realize that you cannot keep pouring into people who are actually draining your spirit. Because walking away isn't selfish, it's survival.
Mhm. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. All right. We need to talk about a massive shift happening right now in federal law regarding artificial intelligence because the government is finally starting to crack down on the dark side of this technology. Two men in the U.S., Arto Hernandez, who is 20, and Cornelius Shannon, who is 51, were just arrested in completely separate, unconnected federal cases. They are facing up to 2 years in prison, making them some of the very first defendants ever charged under a new federal law called the Take It Down Act. If you haven't heard of it, the Take It Down Act was passed by Congress to criminalize the publication and spreading of non-consensual AI generated explicit content. According to video from Lori Fulbright over at KOTV, the mechanics of this law are very specific. If someone posts or shares intimate, nude, or edited images or videos of you without your permission, and guess that explicitly include deep fakes generated by AI software, the person responsible has a strict 48-hour window to permanently remove it once notified, or face federal criminal charges. Advocacy groups and lawmakers have been sounding the alarm for years about the rise of digital exploitation in modern revenge porn, pointing out that generating AI has made creating these fakes highly realistic images terrifyingly easy. Almost every state has been scrambling to pass their own local deep fake regulations. But this federal law gives prosecutors the real tint needed to go after predators nationwide. It's a massive turning point in how we regulate technology to protect everyday people from having their likeliness weaponed. Does a 48-hour takedown window provide enough protection in the internet age where a digital image can be copied and permanently viral within minutes? Or does the real accountability need to be shifted towards heavily penalizing the tech platforms that host the content in the open source software tools that allow it to be created in the first place? Ooh, that was a lot. I don't like AI personally. I am against it. I will never use it. I feel like I'll be one of them old people that will never, ever, ever want to use AI when I get older.
How do you feel about that, nephew?
Look, I feel like this 48-hour notice is a start, but if we're being completely honest, it doesn't go far enough because real accountability needs to shift towards heavily penalizing these massive tech platforms, specifically places like TikTok. for even allowing this kind of predatory, toxic content to bypass their moderation systems in the first place. Throughout my teenage and young adult years, I spent a lot of time educating myself on cyberbullying, digital literacy, and the harsh truth behind internet culture. And the internet can be an amazing place to share family pictures and connect with friends, but we have to realize that what we post has massive catastrophic real world consequences. Because when you're dealing with someone as sensitive and as an appropriate half clothed or a completely naked image, that think before you post rule becomes a matter of survival. I remember back in high school during an orientation where a few days before the first day of school, we have to participate in an FTC program called Share with Care. There was this one video that completely stuck with me and hammered home the fact that you have to be incredibly careful because the second something hits the internet, you have to assume it's permanent. You can never truly take it back, even if you hit it or turn on your privacy settings. That file lives somewhere else, and it's in physical because physically impossible to control or who screenshots it or where it gets re-uploaded. So I feel like people need to ask themselves, how would you feel if a completely nude or half naked photo of you was blasted online as revenge porn and your family or friends, your teachers, or an absolute stranger found out? And flash forward a few years later, how are you going to feel when a college administration sees a digital footprint when reviewing your application or an interview or pulls it up when you're trying to get a job? I really hope that if this federal crackdown serves a massive wake-up call for our listeners, never under any circumstance post explicit content of someone without their explicit consent. Because this isn't a game, and it never will be. Because the person affected by this can be haunted for a lifetime, and the next thing you know, you're going to have a police officer or a federal lawyer knocking on your door.
That's right. That's right. And nobody wants that. I concur with everything you just said, nephew. That was don't be no fool, big baby, and get hard. Now, all right. Now, as we officially jump into our Pride Month celebration today, we want to kick things off by shining a massive, well-deserved spotlight on an absolute icon in the LGBTQ plus community, and I'm talking about the none other than the dancing queen herself, the legendary Alyssa Edwards.
She's from RuPaul's Drag Race Season 5 and All Stars 2 to her own Netflix series Dancing Queen. Justin Johnson, the brilliant mind behind the makeup, has completely changed the game. Beyond the iconic catchphrases, the tongue, pop, and the legendary memes that literally grind the internet. She is an incredible mentor. She founded Beyond the lead dance company out in Texas, giving young dancers a space to completely be themselves, train hard, and find their own home. Alyssa is living proof of what happens when you truly embrace who you are. Ignore the noise and turn your passion into impact. She has brought drag culture into the mainstream while keeping her heart firmly rooted in lifting up the next generation.
All right, all right, all right. But today's throwback topic, we have to take it back to February of 2018. Now, if you were on the internet at that time, you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Fergie, old crazy ass, stepped out into the NBA court at the All-Star game and gave us, well, that completely unforgettable, jazzy, pitchy, sultry, full of fucking niggas rendition of the national anthem. It completely broke the internet. Everyone was crying, laughing. The players on the court was literally trying to hide their smirks, and the memes were out of this control. But leave it to the daytime talk show legend Wendy Williams. How you doing? To take a hot topic and make it 10 times more chaotic. The very next day on her show, Wendy Williams was breaking down the performance, and she didn't just stop at dragging Kirby. She uttered a phrase that went down in talk show history. She looked out at the audience and said, there are only a few people who can sing raw dog, and Fergie is not one of them. She needs auto tune. Along with Fergie, she mentioned that she thinks needs auto tune, such as Jennifer Lopez, Janet Jackson, and I kid you not, even the Queen Bee herself, Beyonce.
Mhm.
The collective gasps from her live studio audience was so loud you can hear a pin drop. Of all the people to come for, Wendy decided to come for Beyonce and an auto-tune crowd. She claimed the only people who could actually sing alive were Adele, Aretha Franklin, Celine Dion, Dionne Warwick, and Mariah Carey. Looking back at the golden era of daytime TV, do you think talk show hosts like Wendy Williams actually believed the wild takes that they were throwing out? Or was grouping an elite of vocalists like Beyonce into needs auto tune category just a brilliant masterclass in generating pure, unfiltered ratings for controversy? Well, she was kind of right, but she wasn't. Now, no, Janet Jackson does not need auto tune, but she has used auto tune.
Has she really?
Yes. All for you. And my Asian persuasion. Feedback, feedback. Some songs it's like she's a pop star. So auto tune, it kind of goes along with the genre, right? Auto tune has like Teddy Riley, zapping Roger and them. You know what I'm saying? Like they use it just enhanced their music, their sound. It doesn't mean you can't sing. T-Pain is a perfect example of someone who used auto tune all the time, who really has a very nice, collected, and controlled voice.
Right.
And Mariah Carey.
I mean, yeah, her too, but that's the thing. Mariah Carey is a pop star, right? And in a pop genre, that auto tune is there. I don't think so, Dionne Warwick can, but Dionne Warwick cannot sing. Dionne Warwick was our first black pop star. She was the first Mariah Carey. She was the first Fantasia. She was the first black pop anything we ever had.
Right.
So give her flowers. She was the first Whitney, but she ain't got vocals like that. You know what I'm saying? Like standing next to Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight, Dionne Warwick cannot fucking sing. What I mean when I say that is there are some girls or artists who sing songs and they stay in their lane.
Yeah.
They don't. It's not like they don't go out the box. They don't stray too far away from their yard, right? Beyonce has gone country, pop, rock, soul, love, everything. Adele, she's done ballads, she's done pop songs, but there's a variety in the music. Aretha Franklin, yeah, she did pop, she did funk, she did everything. She's inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Right. So you can't deny the talent that's there. It's just how far does the talent go? You know what I mean? It's just that simple. How far is the talent gonna go? They said that Kelly Rowland was supposed to be an iconical pop star. Though she still made Motivation, Dirty Laundry. She wanted that R&B rag, but they wanted to push her more into the pop world. Lady Gaga, country. She's worked with what's that guy named Tony Bennett. She's done the jazz, she's done the classical. So like I said, it's not the voice of the artist, it's how far are you gonna push them. Because you gotta think, Michael Jackson ain't never done country.
Right.
But he was the king of pop. He did some R&B cuts, Michael Jackson did no rock. You know, he did Dirty Diana.
You say
That
the
was-
auto-tune helps when they like step out of a.
What I'm saying is if Michael Jackson had auto-tune or not, he stayed in his lane. He didn't do too much. He didn't need no, but he did ballads, but he didn't have a ballad kind of voice.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's just like, yeah, but look, him and Rihanna are perfect examples. They're not gonna sing a whole ballad. Don't test me to do it, Mike and Riri. But bitch, give me a song, I'll tear it up at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So you know, teachers on what you think about it, nephew. You want to talk about that white fish named Taylor Swift?
All I can say is don't compare singers to other singers. That's all I can say.
Oh, oh,
I know that's right. Well,
oh.
all right, guys, that is going to wrap things up for us today. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with us, spending your time here, and being a part of the conversation. If you enjoyed today's episode, do me a quick favor. Hit the subscribe button, leave us a review, and share this episode with a friend who needs a good laugh or a fresh perspective. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms to stay connected between episodes, and definitely keep an eye out for what we have coming up next week. Take care of yourselves, look out for each other, and protect your peace. We will catch you on the next one. Good night. Bye.
Good night, y'all.
Bye, everybody.